Hi, and welcome to a little episode that I feel like starting to do semi-daily. I'm gonna start covering hints, tips, and myths, and kind of elaborating on what the bigger tech tubers are kind of talking about. And I figured I'm into gaming. If you're checking out my channel, you probably like gaming, and I sort of want to cover and kind of put the hammer down on some of the PC building myths, gaming myths, and some theory stuff on my channel just for fun and just try and be creative here. And what I want to really off with were some PC building related kind of myths, because there's a few fun little myths that sometimes pass around and don't really get much elaboration other than they end up way bloated within the texture. So let's get started, and I'm gonna reveal today's topics. All right. So today's topics, concept slash theme of it are all-in-one CPU coolers or AIOs better than air coolers when cooling CPUs? And the answer may surprise you, but when it comes to cooling CPUs, AIOs and CPUs aren't actually that different as to which is better, but instead it's more about which is more quote unquote efficient. And that's why I think a lot of PC builders, gamers, get wrong on this topic is when we are talking about cooling something generally, it's not necessarily what is better, because there's always going to be a fundamentally better way to cool something when it comes to thermals. It's more so what is more efficient, and that's what is the general consensus, I believe, on why you should use a all-in-one cooler or AIO over an air cooler in a PC is the simple fact that an AIO is going to be cooling more evenly and consistently, controlling the thermals, whereas a air cooler, yes, it'll cool your CPU, but ultimately it's still on the case to dissipate that heat. And the reason why an AIO in this instance may be more efficient than the air cooler is it takes longer for the AIO to heat up and reach its thermal peak, and it can dissipate the heat better because the water is a more of a 1 to maybe 1.5 medium ratio compared to an air cooler, meaning more heat can be dissipated by a all-in-one water cool system. Second topic and myth I want to cover here, only 8 gigabytes to play modern video games. And as of about 2021, I want to say, AAA gaming started to prove that entirely wrong. 8 gigabytes is enough to play video games, specifically, yes, indeed. But if you want to play video games on a high detailed, high powerful machine, you need actually more than double, at least 16 gigabytes, which means actually if you want to be an efficient gamer with the efficient PC parts to play video games, you would want 32 gigabytes. Just so you have the overhead. Now, I know what you're wondering. On Windows, tech tubers don't really talk about it, and I'm going to show you it here coming up. What happens if you have only 8 gigabytes in your system and you're left wondering, well, what happens to programs that need more than 8 gigabytes of RAM if I only have 8 gigabytes? Well, I'm going to show here on my desktop what settings you need to go into and what you should be aware of, because your system will substitute the missing RAM that it needs for a drive that you have connected to your PC, and they'll use that as overflow quote unquote RAM quote unquote to supplement its needs. But that does come at the caveat then of now your system is also relying on how much and how fast your PC storage is. So as you can see up here now, so continuing on, as I said, there is a secret thing about what most normal PC builders know about this secret, but many people, normal consumers, Normal users of Windows and gamers aren't aware of this, and this is important to be aware of. As you can see here, this is my PC's task manager, and you can see how much RAM it's using. I'm not even gaming, and I'm using approximately 18 gigabytes somehow. And that's because I'm using 2 instances of Google Chrome and Discord. I'm also using DaVinci Resolve, which is my video editing software. So what I'm going to show you here though is in System and Security, you want to go to System, show up your PC's info, then there's a setting on the right that'll say Advanced System Properties. Now this is essential to understand and know, because this is why people originally said, 8 gigabytes, that's all you need for gaming. This is the reason why. But unfortunately, this is not going to be able to keep up with other systems nowadays. And generally, what happens is if you do not have enough RAM for a video game, let's say, your PC is going to default to your virtual memory right up here, alright? And see how on my system, it says it's giving an extra 10,000 megabytes. Okay? That's about 10 gigabytes. My PC, in my case, is probably never going to exceed its limits of 64 gigabytes of RAM. But if it were to, just as an example, in a case of it, if it were to overpass its limits, it would start going to my first drive, and you can go into the settings, if you're the admin, and you can go in and change what drive, what size, and how much space you want to give to PC to use if you run out of RAM. Why this matters is that alternative, you would want it to be as fast of a drive as possible so you can keep working as efficiently as you can. But where this comes in and becomes a problem is if you have a less advanced and less powerful system with less space, if your drives are already chock full of games, you're not going to have the space needed then for your system to resort to using your storage drives as a backup RAM system. And in essence, that creates a bottleneck and cause for your overall system then to start slowing down because it doesn't have the memory, and it's not going to be able, it's going to try and micromanage what memory it still has. And with that in mind, and that is the reason why you need, as time goes on from here in 24, you need more RAM overall for just general usage. And this is in part is why for the average person, so long as you're using something like Windows 10 or Windows 11, you need more RAM than just 8 gigabytes. We are past the point of general use of where if you want to be using multiple instances of different browsers, you cannot rely on just 8 gigabytes. Just basic use with how advanced the RAM amount you actually need. Don't follow old standards. You need to be looking at current, present day PC building parts, and don't use archaic old ones that are now truly and unfortunately outdated. Hey guys, thanks for coming by. I'm going to be making for the next video a dedicated budget CPU suggestion guide that will ensure you have a high quality CPU put in your PC if you are thinking about building one. For now, I'm going to be letting you guys go. Have fantastic days. And remember, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you all next episode.